Oi boys, welcome to another video on the channel. It is about that time for one of the greatest rivalries in sports. I think many would agree, especially in Australia, and of course we are talking about states of origin. Today's video will be focused around the Queensland Maroons and my predicted 1-18 for game 1. Let's run it. I will preface this by saying I do think Queensland's team will be pretty much the same as last year's, give or take a few spots that could be up for grabs. So we'll talk about positions that aren't locks and who I reckon can push for that particular position. So we'll start with the back five. Now, this coming from a Broncos supporter, Reece Walsh deserves to be in the conversation, I'll say that, but in my opinion, Kalyn Ponga is a lock. He is tried and true in the Origin arena, and even if he wasn't in form, I still think the Queensland selectors would have picked him based off, that last series. The left wing and centre, in my opinion, the left wing is up for grabs. And we got a few contenders, Murray Taulagi, Xavier Coates, and the hammer comes to mind. Xavier Coates, man, he hasn't quite kicked on as I thought he would since departing the Broncos, and hasn't really developed into that aerial threat. Don't get me wrong, he gets up there, but how many times has he come down with a spectacular catch? But yeah, for tough carries, which you will need from the back five, and just big wingers in general, it was between Taulagi and Coates for me, and I'd have Murray Taulagi on the left sting with a lock in Valentine Holmes. I mean, nothing much else to say about Val Holmes. He's definitely in the squad. I will say, however, if Corey Oates is fit, I'd pick him over Coates or Taulagi. Like another veteran in this predicted lineup, he's aging well in league, and we saw that, or I've seen that, for the Broncos this season. For the right side, another lock in my opinion is Selwyn Cobbo for that right wing position. Has a few errors in his game, but he always makes up for those errors with some sort of freakish play and his dirty work. So it kind of evens out. I mean, you don't want any errors in your game, ideally, but I do think he has that right wing on lock and right centre to go up against Latrell Mitchell. This could be a little controversial, but I'm going to go with Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow. Don't get me wrong, I love Dane Gagai, especially in the Maroons jersey. He's definitely put his time in and has earned the respect of many, but coming up against Latrell Mitchell, he has struggled. I feel like Latrell has Gagai's number, especially at state level. Keep in mind, this is peak Latrell Mitchell too, looking to prove a point this year, and I'm just not too sure if an older Dane Gagai has what it takes to lock down a Latrell Mitchell that will most likely get plenty of pill this series. I'm happy to be wrong about this, but for me, I'd have the hammer who's on a heater, who's quick, and can just be annoying with his speed, especially in defense. As for the halves, nothing much to say here, we'll keep it quick. Cam Munster, DCE, both locks. No one else really pushing for either jersey, to be honest, so we'll move along. Moving on to the forward pack, which is the strong suits for the Queenslanders, especially this year, because it seems like a lot, in fact most of the Queensland forwards this season are peaking at the moment, especially the young bulls who have these veterans looking over their shoulders. Right, so starting with the front row, there are a couple of locks here. In my opinion, Tino Fa'asau-Maliawi nowadays is a Queensland staple. The other jersey is up for grabs though, in my opinion. You've got Christian Welsh, Joshua Bali'i, both solid options, but for me, I think Christian Welsh gets the nod over Big Papa. Form-wise, out of the two, I think Welsh has been outstanding since making his comeback. He's been a little unlucky with injuries lately, but I do think he makes his way back into this Origin side. Another obvious lock at hooker, of course, Ben Hunt. Moving on to the back row on the left edge, I think is up for grabs. Kurt Capewell has been mad for Queensland these past couple seasons, but in my opinion, David Fifita this year, his form for the Titans is undeniable. He showed a different layer to his game this year, and I think if Queensland are to pick him, he'd have the starts, unfortunately taking the place of Kurt Capewell on that left edge. On the right side, I think Felice Kaufusi is definitely a lock. He's shown this season just how great he truly is playing for the Dolphins, and it's made me especially more, I guess, appreciative of his talents. A few years ago, he wasn't even in my Maroon side, which is pretty nuts to say. But yeah, Felice Kaufusi, aging like fine wine, is a lock for mine in the back row. And finally, to round off that forward pack at lock, I've gone with Reuben Cotter, the certified tree chopper. I think he'll be in the 13 for that defense. Not gonna say he's a lock, but it would be between him and Paddy Carrigan. But yeah, for mine, I think Reuben Cotter's playstyle fits more with the Maroons. For the Origin arena, you want it to be super simplified, and that's Reuben Cotter. He'll be the hardest working player in that pack. But yeah, speaking of Paddy Carrigan, let's move on. Alright, so the bench. The lock, we all know, Harry Grant owns that number 14 jersey for the moment. That little combo with him and Ben Hunt has been super effective, so much so that the Blues decided to follow suit. So the 15 jersey, I'd assume would be like a back rower. I'm wondering how they will approach this selection. Do they want someone to come on and be an absolute madman, just shotting every single bloke he sees? Someone like Jai Arrow, Jaden Suter, Tom Gilbert, who's made for the Origin arena, in my opinion. I don't think they'll go with Gilbert, as I do think he still has a bit of a discipline issue, you know, known to give away a few penalties here and there for the Dolphins. Or will they go with someone like Kurt Capewell, who can be a bit of a mix-it-fix-it in case one of the outside backs go down? I'd go with Kurt Capewell in the 15 for said reasons. It's tough because Jai Arrow's been playing some really good footy as of late as well. But yeah, I think 15 will go to Capewell. For coverage, I'm low-key hoping they do pick Tom Gilbert, someone aggressive to match what could be an aggressive style bench from the Blues. The last two spots for the bench are starting with another lock in my opinion, Paddy Carrigan. He'll most likely be in a lot of people's starting 13, but for mine, coming off the bench with his diverse skill sets, will cause a lot of problems with that New South Wales pack. The reason why we went off Ruben Cotter in the 13 is because he is an absolute workhorse and it will get through that dirty work and sort of soften the Blues up for someone like a Patrick Carrigan to come on and break the game open. I mean, we saw it in his debut series. He got man of the series, being an absolute menace coming off the bench. And finally, the last spot for mine, back on that aggression tip, Sydney Rooster, Lindsay Collins. They have so many middles to choose from here. You could even play Jai in the middle. Corey Horsburgh from the Raiders, Big Red, has been absolutely killing it. He's been at the forefront of this little Raiders win streak they got going on at the moment. Even someone like a Tom Flegler could make his way into the side. Mo Fotuaika, there's plenty to choose from, as I said. But yeah, back to Collins. Collins could easily start in the front row, but like Petty, I do think for Origin, he might be more impactful coming off the bench. A super big body, hard worker, and has an aggressive style of play. We've seen him have absolute bangers coming off the bench in the past. And to round everything off at 18th man, I've got here Reece Walsh. We talk about influential players in teams, and Reece Walsh has arguably been the most impactful, most influential player for the Broncos, especially when it comes to putting points on the board. He's been killing it. So much so that a lot of people are calling for him to have Kalyn Ponga's jersey. That about wraps up my predicted lineup for the Qld Maroons Game 1 State of Origin 2023. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and also, if you have a different lineup than mine, feel free to share that as well. We'll be back with the Blues pretty soon, but until then, if you did enjoy that, be sure to run straight to that like button. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you later.